Welcome back to Brentford Fan TV. I am Freddie,
And I'm Ben.
and this video we are looking at Ivan Toney's transfer links and rumours. So Ivan Toney has a year left on his contract.
Yeah.
Tell me, what are you thinking?
Well, the options are he leaves this summer, we get a fee for him, or he extends his stay by another year and goes for free, which I would not like to happen.
Well, he's not going to do that because we've offered him multiple contracts and he's rejected all of them. So he will definitely leave next summer, if not this summer. So it's really looking at what is the best deal we can get for him this summer. And so I'm going to start with Arsenal and their interest in Ivan Toney. So Arsenal were interested in Ivan Toney. They are in the market for a striker, it appears, but it doesn't look like they really want to go for Toney anymore.
That is multiple reasons to it. One, really being put off with his attitude. There's just multiple clips of him in interviews of saying bad things about Brentford. They probably don't want the same thing about Arsenal.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's completely fine having your opinion put out, but it's not entirely positive light that he's put on Brentford sometimes. And I think Arsenal are thinking, we don't want to sign that kind of player. But then again, he is like, on the England camp, he's become like best mates with Declan Rice supposedly. And so maybe that could sway it slightly.
Yeah. Arsenal do need a striker though.
They do.
Don't really have an out-and-out striker with their current options being Gabriel, Jesus and Havertz.
I don't think Jesus is good enough for Arsenal.
No.
And I don't really think Havertz is good enough for Arsenal. I think he is good, to be fair. But I also remember in that Arsenal away game that we lost, in the game, I think Ivan Toney had a clash with Gabriel there to be split by a few players. So he could already have a bit of a disagreement with Gabriel that could potentially put the transfer off.
Yeah. In an interview, Tony joked about going to Real Madrid. Although this would be a good option for him, I don't see this as a reality.
Yeah,
I see it as more.
I think it was a joke. I think because I remember the interview said, "What's the ideal plan for this season?" And somebody was like, "I score goals for Brentford, don't get relegated, and then transfer to Real Madrid." I think he can get away with it a bit more when he's talking about leaving for like Real Madrid because everyone knows that's a bit unrealistic.
And also, every football player is going to want to play at a big club like Real Madrid, at least once in their career. So it's understandable.
Another team that's been interested in Ivan Toney is Manchester United. Now, Manchester United do appear to be in the market for a striker because they don't seem to be fully convinced with the season that Højlund has had. I think Højlund is a decent player, but I think he's just a bit young and raw and not quite what they need at this moment in time. What do you think?
Yeah, I feel like it'd be a realistic move for Toney because they are missing that sort of striker that Toney is.
I think one sort of thing that puts him off for most teams is his age, because lots of teams want a younger striker, and he's already 28 years old, and even when he came back from his ban, he looked a bit slower and not quite at what he was before. So maybe Toney already had his prime, and he could have been in his prime during that ban, but maybe he's missed out on it and he's just going to be on a bit of a decline now, and so teams don't really want to buy that kind of player.
Yeah, all those months away from football seem to not help his form at all. He did start firing when he came back, but since then he hasn't really done too much.
Yeah.
And that's probably also hindered his price tag as well.
Yeah. Now, Newcastle are also slightly interested in Toney. I don't really think Newcastle want to go for Toney, but Callum Wilson's 32. They do need a slightly younger option, and if Isak is sold potentially to Arsenal, Newcastle might need quite a quick, like an easy transfer they can make, and I think Toney would be willing to go to Newcastle. I think they'd happily take him for the next 3 years, get the last few years out of him.
Yeah, his former club as well.
Yeah, and so I think there's a possibility that Ivan Toney could go to Newcastle, but I don't think it would happen.
Yeah. And now, what's looking the most likely option is Tottenham, and apparently they have agreed personal terms with Toney. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think, well, Spurs clearly do want him then, if they've agreed personal terms with him. But what's going wrong is the agreeing on a price tag between the clubs. Spurs apparently offered 40 million, and we're holding out for 65 million. And it's just a bit annoying because he's not really worth 65 million anymore when he only has a year left on his contract. And so if we could meet halfway between 40 and 65 million, I think I'd be happy.
I would be too.
I'm sure the club would be happy as well.
Yeah, this is the same sort of thing that happened with Raya, which ended up not working out too well for us, only getting 30 million from Arsenal. But
yeah, last summer, I think Spurs offered 25 million for Raya. We wanted 40 million, and even though Raya agreed deals with Spurs, it just never happened because the clubs couldn't reach a deal. And I think sometimes Brentford were a bit too stubborn in the transfer market when selling, because I think we should be a bit more realistic. Sometimes take the slightly lower offer and just get the deals done early, because we're just lucky that Arsenal did come in the end for 30 million for him.
yeah,
But once again, I think with Spurs, if they're getting him, it's only temporary. He'll only maybe have 2 or 3 more good years, because most clubs do want a younger striker, and that's fair enough. And so I think we'd do well to get up to 50 million from Spurs for Toney, and I think Spurs is the most realistic option for him.
Yeah.
Overall, it looks like Toney will definitely leave us this summer. It's just down to the clubs agreeing a deal.
I hope we can get a good price for him. Although the club wants 65 million, I don't think we'll get that. I feel like 50 million is what I'd realistically want for Toney.
Yeah, and I think we can hope we don't get another David Raya situation where the deal goes down to the last few weeks of the window, because it's good to get, deals done early. All the players know what's happening.
And then we'll get that money to spend on new players to replace Toney and maybe some fullback backup. And that's all the rumours so far. We'll keep you updated on future rumours, and it's Brentford Fan TV.
Thank you for watching.